if you picked up a baseball, could you tell if it was juiced? Do you think?
Um, you know, at this particular moment, I don't know, but I think, we went through a similar thing, when we were all playing in the mid to early 90s, where there was some talk of the balls being juiced a little bit, and I think there was something to it. There was definitely a difference in the baseballs that one particular year, and it's more in what you notice in terms of being able to manipulate the baseball, so to speak. Every pitcher gets a ball, whether it's a new ball or rubbed by the umpires, and we still have to fiddle with it. We still have to rub it. We still have to, put our own touch on it. And there were some times in that year where we were going through it that leather was wound a little bit tighter. It was a little bit harder to, you take your fingernail and stick it into the leather of the baseball, it's going to put a little bit of an indentation in it. And then there was a year where it was really hard to do that. So if my guess is if pitchers are talking about it and they think there's something different about the baseball, then my guess is there probably is something to it.
So what was it about the baseball other than that you couldn't just stick a fingernail into it and make some form of an indentation back in that year, Tom?
Well, when they're that way, they just feel really like they're wound really tightly. It's almost like you have you got a golf ball in your hand, and when it happens, the seams are not quite as prevalent on the ball as you're used to. So, that affects obviously breaking balls. It affects movement on all your other pitches. So, there was, like I say, definitely a year where sometimes you'd get a baseball that the umpire would throw to you and it'd be like, there's no way I'm using this. And you throw it back and try and find another one.
Was that the famed chicks dig the long ball year, Tom?
It was in that era. So maybe that had something to do with it. So maybe I'm partly to blame.
Who knocked on your door to say, would you like to be in a commercial with Heather Locklear? Who did that back in the day? Tom Glavine.
It was funny. My agent actually asked me earlier in that year if I wanted to do something with Nike. And I said, sure, why not? I had no idea what it was. And then, they tell you the concept and what they're trying to do. And, even when you're going through it, it's kind of goofy because it's pieced together, and we did it over a couple of days on a road trip. Half of it was in Florida, half of it was in Philadelphia. And even as you're doing it, you're like, what are we doing? What are they doing with this? And, when it all came together, it was pretty funny. And I credit myself with, resurrecting Heather Locklear's career. I think that's put it back on the map.
You and Melrose Place, Tom, was an unbeatable combination for her.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you liked some of that, get some more of that on the Rich Eisen Show app. Follow all the information you see right here on the Rich Eisen Show.